Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the Value Education class. Today's topic is The Clever Frog from the Inner Circle book, chapter 4, page number 24. Chapter 4 of your Inner Circle book and page number 24. You can refer your book for further reference, okay? For class 4. So let's move on to the story. A group of frogs decided to have a race in the woods. Among them, 2 young frogs were in the lead for a long time and suddenly disappeared. The rest of the frogs in the group were worried and started searching for them. Finally, they found that the 2 frogs had fallen into a deep pit. Both the frogs jumped frantically to escape out of the pit, while the rest of the frogs crowded around and said that it was all over and there was no way they could escape. One of the frogs gave in to what his friends said, lay down tired and hopeless, and finally died. However, in spite of his friends discouraging him, the other frog did not give up and kept jumping with every ounce of energy that was left in him. To the surprise of the other frogs, he managed to jump out of the pit. It was only then that the other frogs realized that the frog who managed to escape out of the pit was deaf. The frog actually misunderstood that his friends were encouraging him to try and jump out of the pit, and finally he succeeded. Children, many a time we may be lucky to get the guidance and encouragement of our elders, well-wishers or mentors. However, in certain cases, we need to be prepared to face discouraging words from others. On such occasion, it is only our self-belief, positive thinking, and perseverance that can help us to succeed. Perseverance involves continuing to put in our sincere effort even when we face difficult situations without giving up. Always trust yourself. You know more than you think you do. See, children, just trust yourself and you will learn the art of living. Keep going and trust yourself. Your time will come. And the one that I already told, trust yourself. You know more than you think you do. We should have courage enough and be brave in dealing with any situation. We must always trust ourselves. We must have faith in ourselves. Trust can help bring us closer to other people. Trusting others, such as family members and friends, can reassure us that we'll be helped when we need it. It's the foundation of any healthy relationship, including the relationship you have with yourself. Trusting yourself can build up your confidence, make it easier for you to make decisions, and reduce your stress levels. And the good news is that even if you don't trust yourself now, with some effort, you can build up that trust over time. Few tips of building trust in yourself. There's no one more important to trust than yourself. Sometimes we lose trust in ourselves after we make a mistake or after someone criticizes us harshly or constantly. It can feel more difficult to make decisions when you can't trust yourself because you fear you will make the wrong choice. Or you might be more prone to criticizing your own decisions after you make them. Building trust in yourself can help boost your decision making skills and self confidence. This can make life feel a little easier and much more enjoyable. Here are some tips to help you learn how to trust yourself. So, children, here are the 6 tips for building trust in yourself. Let's see them now. The first one is be yourself. If you fear how others will look at you or judge you, you might find it difficult to be yourself around other people. Acting like a different person than who you really are is a sign that you are lacking self-confidence and trust in yourself. Other people will be able to sense that. So how do you build up your trust enough to be yourself around others? When you start to feel insecure around others, remind yourself that it's okay to be you. Start by participating around the people you feel most comfortable with, like your friends and close family members. Take note if you feel vulnerable or uncomfortable and keep spending time with these people until your insecure feelings start to disappear. Once you can be yourself around other people, they will treat you with more trust. This can help you build up your trust in yourself. Let's see the next point, that is, set reasonable goals. Often we aim high with our goals. Instead of trying to complete a project in 2 weeks, we try to do it in 1 week. And setting our goals high can be a good thing because it motivates us to work hard for what we want. Unfortunately, setting goals that are too ambitious has a major downside. When we don't reach our big goals, we experience failure. Failing often can reduce your self-confidence and ability to trust yourself. Instead of setting one big goal, try setting many little goals that put you in the direction of your big goal. Doing so will make your big goal more realistic. You will also gain confidence and trust in yourself while accomplishing the smaller goals along the way. Now let's see the third point, that is, be kind to yourself. You have probably heard the term unconditional love. Maybe it's been mentioned in relation to the connection a parent has with their child or the love that exists between siblings or friends. But did you know that it's also very important to love yourself unconditionally? Loving yourself unconditionally means getting rid of negative thoughts about yourself and any self-criticism after you make a mistake. Start by keeping a close eye on your inner voice and how it reacts to your actions. Is it kind or mean? Is it accepting or critical? When you can love yourself unconditionally, you can trust yourself unconditionally, and that builds confidence. The next point is build on your strengths. Everyone is better at something and worse at others. You probably have a good idea of what things you excel at and which things you don't do as well with. Trusting yourself means being able to attempt to do all kinds of things without judging yourself too harshly. However, if you are looking to build trust in yourself, it can be helpful to add more of the things that you are good at and less of the things that you aren't great at. If you are not sure what you are good at, ask those people closest to you. Spend more time doing those things and building your trust, knowing you will excel at those things. Be accepting of your strengths as well as your weakness. Now let's move on to the fifth point, that is spend time with yourself. When you don't trust yourself, you might feel uncomfortable spending time looking inward. You might try to keep busy all day by constantly getting involved in activities or thinking about small things outside of yourself. Break the habit of looking away from yourself by patiently looking inward. You can look in with meditation. Try sitting with yourself in a quiet place for 5 to 15 minutes each day. Pay close attention to your breath and body. As any thoughts or self-criticism pass by, acknowledge them and then let them go. Allowing time for this important one-on-one with yourself can build up your self-trust. Now let's see the last point, that is point number 6. Be decisive. We lack trust in ourselves when we question our actions or decisions. Sometimes we might even question who we are. That can hurt. Build trust in yourself by breaking your habit of questioning your decisions. Next time you make a choice, stick with it. Even if it turns out not to be the best choice, there's no use beating yourself up over the decision you made. The best you can do is to learn from your mistake. Believe that you will make a better choice next time and move on. Doing so will help you learn to be more trusting of yourself and your decision-making skills. So children, finally, trusting yourself is one of the most helpful things you can do for you in your life. It can help build your confidence, allow others to trust you more, and make the process of decision making much easier. To trust yourself, all you need is to make a little effort, create self-love, and find the ability to look inward. Now children, we'll move on to the exercise portion. So first we'll do answer the following questions. You can refer your book at page number 29. Okay? So the first question is, why did the two young frogs suddenly disappear? Why did the two young frogs suddenly disappear? I will discuss the answer with you, but you will write the answer on your own. Okay? The answer to this question is, the two young frogs suddenly disappeared because they had fell headlong into a deep pit. The two young frogs suddenly disappeared because they had fell headlong into a deep pit. Question number 2. How did the two young frogs fall into a deep pit? How did the two young frogs fall into a deep pit? Answer. The two frogs fell into a deep pit by accident, as the pit was covered with dry leaves and twigs, so the pit was not visible. I repeat the answer. The two frogs fell into a deep pit by accident, as the pit was covered with dry leaves and twigs, so the pit was not visible. Question number 3. How did the frogs try to escape out of the pit? How did the frogs try to escape out of the pit? The frogs jumped frantically to escape out of the pit. The frogs jumped frantically to escape out of the pit. Next, please children copy everything down in your exercise copies, okay? Question number 4. What was the blessing in disguise for the second frog that helped him to come out alive? What was the blessing in disguise for the second frog that helped him to come out alive? The answer is the second frog was deaf. Full stop. This was the blessing in disguise for the second frog that helped him to come out alive. So, I repeat the answer. The second frog was deaf. Full stop. This was the blessing in disguise for the second frog that helped him to come out alive. Number 5. How did the second frog interpret the gesture of the other frogs? How did the second frog interpret the gesture of the other frogs? The answer is the second frog thought that the other frogs were shouting to cheer him up. This is how the second frog interpreted the gesture of the other frogs. The second frog thought that the other frogs were shouting to cheer him up. This is how the second frog interpreted the gesture of the other frogs. The last question, what lesson do you learn from the attitudes of the two frogs? What lesson do you learn from the attitudes of the two frogs? The two frogs faced a problem together. The first frog gave up hope, while the second frog was able to save himself because he tried hard. Thus, we must never give up. Instead, we must believe in ourselves. The two frogs faced a problem together. The first frog gave up hope, while the second frog was able to save himself because he tried hard. Thus, we must never give up. Instead, we must believe in ourselves. Now, the next exercise, that is answer in one word. Answer in one word. Number 1. The air was cool and fresh here. Do you know, children? The answer. The air was cool and fresh here. Where? The answer is forest. Next, the two young frogs had fallen into it. The two young frogs had fallen into it. Where? Pit. The answer is pit. They felt that it was a hopeless situation. They felt that it was a hopeless situation. Who felt? Frogs. The answer is frogs. Okay. Next we have fill in the blanks. You can refer this to page number 28 of your book. Okay. The two frogs fell into a dash. You will write the answer on your own. The two frogs fell into a dash. Number 2. The safe frogs lost dash on seeing the two helpless frogs inside the pit. The safe frogs lost dash on seeing the two helpless frogs inside the pit. Number 3. The safe frogs dashed the victims. The safe frogs dashed the victims. Number 4. The frog dash finally lost his life. The frog dash, the blank is big because 2 or 3 words will come together, okay? Finally lost his life. And the last one, the frog who came out alive was dash. The frog who came out alive was dash. The last exercise that we have is write true or false. Write true or false. Number 1. The two frogs fought with each other and fell into the pit. Whether it is true or false, that you will write on your own, okay? Number 2. The safe frogs were sure that their friends would escape out of the well. Number 3. The frog who could hear lost his life. Number 4. The frog who came out alive was deaf. And the last one, that is number 5. The safe frogs actually encouraged the second frog and helped him come out alive. So children, I hope you all have copied everything down in your exercise copies and you will write the answers by yourself. The answers to these questions are very easy. So I hope you like the story as well. That's all for today's class. Thank you and have a nice day.